Thanks for listening and watching the Insurance Marketing Brain Dump podcast. My name is Kagan with Bribey.com, where we help insurance agents be found online. I'm here with the co-host, Chris Paradiso.
Is it Keegan or Kagan?
Whatever you want to call me, Chris, because we know you're not going to get it right. So let's move on.
Do you even know if it's Keegan or Kagan?
Well, my twin sister name is Megan, so they tell me that it rhymes.
Okay.
But, it's been a curse ever since. So at the 2020 Germania event, been really fun. Good to see a lot of people we know, meet new people as well. And then I came across this wonderful lady here, Desiree Martinez.
Sup. Yep.
And it's not Desiree or Desiree, whatever.
I'm also not Hispanic. I married into it.
Okay.
No, literally, y'all. Let me tell you about how,
Y'all. We know we're in Texas when you say y'all.
I am not actually from Texas. My mother is, and you cannot leave the state of Texas without becoming two things. You say y'all, and your tea is sweet.
That's right.
That's how that works.
That's right.
Sweet tea?
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
You can't unsweet sweet tea, but it's sweet tea. Anyway, I totally lost what we were talking about. No. So when I went to change my name in Arizona from Desiree Ford, which is my maiden name, to Desiree Martinez, I literally started getting mail in Spanish.
So you're a part of the Ford Empire?
No, I wish. I wouldn't have changed my name if I was.
That's right. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you do. I call it the invisible baton of bragging, right?
Okay.
The bragging baton. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Just brag about yourself for a second. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So my sphere of genius is in helping businesses grow with better content and social media marketing. And what fuels this a lot, how I make money besides throwing up on people that's information every single day on the internet, is I have a social media marketing agency that focuses on do-it-for-you services for businesses that need help with getting it done, because so many of businesses they know what they're good at. In this case, people are good at helping people get their insurance lives in order. Not everyone's a marketer. Just like I don't do my own taxes or my own financial planning, you all shouldn't be doing your own marketing, because it's hard. It's a lot to keep up with. And so we do it for you. And we're actually a very mission-driven business. I literally built my business to help put military spouses to work. So all our social media managers are military spouses, so that they can work anywhere that they're stationed around the world.
How awesome is that?
I know. I already know. I was going to wait and
As
see
you
what
can
you
see,
said.
little pro-America.
Oh, yeah.
Super pro-veterans.
Military life actually runs really deep in my family. So my husband, when he got married, he joined the Air Force. He grew up an airman kid. I grew up a Marine Corps kid. My dad was a Marine. His parents were Air Force people. And my grandfather was in Air Force in the Korean War. My great-grandfather was in World War II. So I've been around the military block quite a few times.
Those are our heroes. No question.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, right.
And you notice how she said my dad is a Marine, not was a Marine? Because once a Marine, always a Marine.
It's the only branch where you are always a Marine.
Always.
He's still tough. He's 54.
Never met a Marine that isn't tough.
He's still tough.
Okay, so always a Marine, okay, but you're kind of always social media, right?
Yeah, so I've actually been doing this for over 10 years. So I got into this bootstrap
You don't look
style.
old enough.
Funny story, I'm 34, at least the time of this
You're
recording.
never supposed to tell your age.
two-
So notice I didn't
No.
ask. I didn't ask.
I did not mind telling people how old I am. I my face is my temple. My Korean beauty regimen is on point, because I do not want to age.
Okay, and
But-
two children.
Yep, I got a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. They make me age. I didn't used to look this old.
And then husband has retired, right?
My husband is separated from the Air Force. He just did 6 years, and he is enjoying his time as a stay-at-home dad now.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, since it's insurance marketing brain dump. I want to talk about social media for a second.
Okay.
And talk about some of the things that you see, the red flags that you see that you go, don't do this.
Okay.
Let's talk.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys that you should stop doing is, I feel like there's just so many things. Well, number one, you're not doing video. That's the first thing
Okay.
that you guys are probably all doing wrong. You're not creating with purpose and with search in mind. You're not answering your commonly asked questions. You're showing up when you need to make a sale versus building a relationship.
Right.
You're afraid of other social networks, so you're not on those places because you don't want to take the time to figure them out. You're trying to do it all yourself. That's another thing that's probably really hard. And one of the things that's really hard about being a business owner is that you're always marketing. and you don't even realize it. And so you kind of have to find a way to capture those nuggets, those like moments of genius, like where it's like uniquely you, and make it happen. And you're not doing it.
I like the moments of genius. I like that. I think
that was a moment of genius. You can totally quote me on that.
Is that a staple for you, or?
I do talk about like, lean into like what you're good at. Like I talk about like your realm of genius, your moment of genius, like what you're good at. Like for me, I'm good at social media marketing. Don't ask me anything about taxes. I'm not your girl.
Right.
Don't ask me about insurance. Definitely not your girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, every time I have to call in my insurance people, I'm like, what are you talking about? But then like I get the deer in headlights back to me when I'm presenting at these kinds of events. They're like, I have to do this and run my business?
Right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about insurance and the marketing aspect to that, and let's talk video.
Okay.
So let's brainstorm here.
Okay.
Here's the one thing I'm tired of, is that we have someone who gets on video, and I'm not saying it's wrong by any means, but they get on video and they just start talking about the product that they offer, and they talk about the coverage, and the first thing I think is,
I don't care.
why would anyone want to watch this? Why would anyone want to even listen to this?
So I always like to think about your customer and what is it that they're doing where they're going to be watching your stuff. Where do I spend most of my time? On my phone. So when I'm on my phone, when I'm not working, like I'm leisurely social mediaing, I'm usually like in bed, about to wind down for bed or wake up, because I like that blue light to help me wake up in the morning. I told it's totally unhealthy. Don't judge me. When I'm like in line at Starbucks or waiting to pick up my kids from school, like everybody else in the bathroom, so it's like, what are the moments that people are taking their time to just explore their feed? Do you really honestly think anybody wants to learn about like insurance premiums and why it's happening in that moment and learn from their service? No one really wants to talk about insurance till they need it, right? And so it's sort of like, okay, how can you build a relationship with people and inform them and be their like go-to expert, that no matter what happens, no matter like if the rates increase, if I could get a better deal somewhere else, if this like guy in like my local networking group is like busting down my door trying to get me to switch to him, how can I build that loyalty to stay with that person would stay with you as the agent, right? And so just build a relationship and be yourself. I've built a brand for myself on being like super sassy and super just like dorky. And I talk about, things like I have my business mullet, or like my makeup is done and my shirt is clean, but like I'm in pajama pants and slippers, and usually the back of my hair isn't curled, or
I've got that problem.
I do too.
I always comment with GIFs.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
I feel like that's the best way to express yourself, because it's so easy for text messages and emails to be taken out of context. Yep. And like I already come across sometimes as kind of gruff, so I'm like, I need to like put a little too many emojis in here so people can keep this lighthearted when they're reading it, right? So it's just one of those things. So like if you are talking about insurance, right, if you have to, because you got to tell them, like, okay, so like what is it that people are paying attention to right now? So we're recording this in January of 2020. You should probably be doing a video like 5 things you know about the coverage changes for 2020. I just talked to somebody who was talking about how, like, did you know that your your four-wheeler coverage doesn't like happen once you leave your property? And I was like, what? Like that would be something I would want to know, because there's so many people that just four-wheel for fun, right?
Why, there's a few people in Texas that have four-wheelers?
Yeah, right.
Oh.
And, like there's farm, like the fact that like they only do, like they do farm coverage, other places don't.
Absolutely.
So it's like talking about like these like did you knows, these fun facts.
It died. Okay. Hold.
I love editing.
We'll do like an
What do you think of
infomercial.
Pinterest?
I think if you're not using it, then you're probably not tapping into a resource that you need. Like I believe that you should be everywhere, because you never know where people want to consume your content.
Correct.
And so part of my video formula that I talk about in my presentation is you need to be creating a video and putting it in all the places.
So you should be on TikTok.
If it makes sense for your audience. TikTok is one of those ones that I have a hard time with right now because it's still so new. And I feel like one of the reasons that's popular is because kids are on it and because Gary Vee tells everybody to be there.
People listen to Gary Vee.
I love Gary. One of my most top performing videos is how to create 100 pieces of content for your brand every day like Gary. Like, and I give you a worksheet because I have clients I do this for. And it's like, it's a spreadsheet that allows you to guide it through. It's one of my highest performing videos.
Wow.
And I have the most opt-ins from it.
That's awesome.
I think that there's a place for it. I think that TikTok is, I think if it's something you're comfortable doing, I'm not on TikTok. As outgoing and like extroverted and silly as I am, I have a really hard time. Like I don't do karaoke. Like, so like for me, like TikTok just doesn't like make a lot of sense for me and my brand. Like
But
I could robot
would you say
really
that
well.
there's prospects for insurance agencies there?
And that's what I think, and that, I actually talked about that in my presentation too. I said, if you are in a position where you have a young millennial on your team, have them lean into that and test
I
that
agree.
out, because you never know how it could work for you and like what could be. Because honestly, it's really just about brand recognition. Like that's the purpose you set up, is brand recognition of anything else. Like it's not really a great place, I think, to convert.
Does your
sales.
company work with brand guides?
Yeah, well, so the thing is, so we work mainly with small businesses that just don't have the time, the know-how to do stuff.
So you're doing it for them.
We do it totally for them, and a lot of our clients, they're giving us nothing to work from.
Yeah.
So we're literally
Which is extremely
creating-
frustrating.
It's not actually. It's actually a lot easier
Is
because I
it-
don't have
is
to
it?
worry about a lot of things. But
How do you connect? Like if I hired you and I'm in Connecticut, Connecticut and Texas is drastically different. How would you get the vibe and feel of our agency to be able to spit our brand socially from Texas?
So, well, one, I don't live in Texas, I live in Phoenix. But two, that's unrelated, I apologize.
Correction.
We do work anywhere in the world. And, like, you build your connections with me, and I'm talking to you about it. Like, you build that connection, like, you know who I am and what my brand is about and what we do. And usually through our conversation. But we have all of our clients through an intake form. Our intake form is very detailed. It's not just like, give me your email address, your logo, your name, give us access. It's like, tell me about your voice, tell me about why you're different, tell me about the people on your team, tell me what kind of music you like, tell me what adjectives you'd use to describe your brand, what are your colors, like getting really in depth on that, and then we start creating. And at that point, it's a matter of how involved the customer wants to be with us. So I have some customers that like want to review every single thing we do. And I'm like, okay, here's the spreadsheet, here's what we're gonna do. You tell them which one, they'll go and make tweaks, or this isn't right, or this isn't true, because we don't know. And or we have some business. I literally, I've been in business since September of 2015. I had a guy that signed up with me for that, and his credit card still processes every month. I haven't talked to him in 3 years.
So it's set it and forget it.
Yep.
And you feel that this gentleman is in this business, I'm not sure if it's insurance
It's real
or not.
estate.
Real estate is obviously you would say he's probably benefiting, otherwise he wouldn't continue
Exactly.
his services. would you?
We always know when we're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
They'll always tell us, this is wrong, this is bad, you're fired, like whatever it may be. We usually have usually once we get a client past like 3 months, like we're in for usually about a year, because at that point it's more like we have to take it in-house, or we're redirecting, or it's usually they're bringing it in-house. It's usually what it is. If we get past 3 months, they're bringing it in-house. And then I'm like all about helping their team members transition, because for me, I just want it to be successful for them and effective.
Sure.
And what can really happen in social media, and I experienced this myself as a business owner, it is so much to keep up with.
Sure.
Like social media is so much to keep up with. So we had our worst month in business ever in August of 2019. And I sat and I looked and I was like, why did we lose half of our customers in 1 month? And what it was is what we were doing wasn't working anymore. And so I had to look at like, what is I knew what the industry was changing. I was literally talking about it all the time, but I hadn't like figured out what could we offer to our clients that would keep up with this change. And so we completely redid all of our packages. I switched all of our existing clients to what it was new, so it would work. And since then, we've been able to
That's awesome.
get back everything. And so paying attention to is a lot of work.
I really appreciate your transparency and honesty right there, because most businesses won't ever say that. Like, we lost customers or whatever, because it shows vulnerability.
She lost 50%.
I lost
And-
half of my business. Half of my business.
And that is
I lost half
crazy.
of my business 3 months before my husband was separating from the Air Force, and I was going to be the sole breadwinner.
Yeah.
I had to redirect.
Hey,
I
we've-
had to change.
Yeah, but I also think it proves a very valuable point. I started video in 2009 and as an independent agent, and people thought I was crazy. They said a little, probably more aggressive words where I'm from than that. But the interesting thing is what you just said. If you don't change, you woke up one day and 50% of your business was gone. Now, you have admitted you fell asleep. You woke up because you got kicked. But you changed, you've embraced the change, even though what you basically did is sat down and drank the Kool-Aid that you were looking in the mirror and you just weren't drinking, right?
Yeah,
and
it's
now
so,
you're back.
It's so easy. Well, it's more like I hadn't figured out. Okay, so video marketing is a big deal. So when I started the agency in September of 2015, we were doing daily posting on Facebook and Twitter. We included custom graphics, and we had a small Facebook advertising budget. Fast forward 4 years, that strategy didn't work anymore. Posting every day on Facebook and Twitter was like, why? And then on top of it, it's like, what are we doing with video? Why? Like $25 is not enough money for an advertising budget at this time, right?
$25 for a day, a week, a month.
And so, we're all
$25
rolling
a
our eyes over
Right.
here, and
And-
we're like,
but
at the
your
time,
people are thinking, oh, that
was
$25
great.
should get me.
Yes.
Yeah, at the time it was great. Like they saw so much return, and slowly you just started to see
How
it
do
go
you
down.
handle, with the ever-changing world, going live is so important today? Would you agree or disagree?
No, I don't. I don't agree that going live is important. I think let me rephrase this. I think anything in marketing requires testing, and that you need to find the way to produce the content in the way that makes sense for you and your audience. Going live for me became very cumbersome because I had to commit to a day and time every week. And when you're a mother, when you are a military spouse, when you are someone who travels for work a lot, it was too hard for me to commit to that kind of a dedication.
Saying, what you just stated, tell me if I'm wrong, going live should be consistent, where if you go Monday at 9 o'clock, it should be Monday at 9 o'clock, every Monday at 9 o'clock going live.
Yeah, because so in what I teach people with video marketing is you have to show up at the same time every week. I batch my content. Any YouTuber will tell you we batch our content. Batching means you create a whole lot of things at one time. So I sit down, I plan out my things, I go through all of my systems, like I use TubeBuddy and Google Search, and I look at my experts and all that kind of stuff. They're sponsors of my Women of YouTube podcast.
Love it.
But all of that stuff, and I really plan out my content, and then I record my content at one sitting when, because again, as a woman, one of the things that we have as a barrier to entry over over men specifically is we have an expectation of presentation. So I don't look like this, and I look like really good today, y'all. Like I got a new dress and everything, like I'm at my best.
I thought only Texans said y'all. I didn't know Phoenix people said y'all.
I told you, my mom's from Texas, so I picked it up.
Yeah, but you're living in Phoenix now.
I lived in Texas for 3 years, and so it came back.
That's
came
just
back
enough
hard.
time.
Came back hard, and plus the internet likes y'all, so I can say it.
That's right.
Right. But anyway, so there's the expectation of so a lot of women talk about how it's part of their process to get ready. Like they do their hair, they do their really good makeup, they make sure that all of their stuff is tucked and tinned all the way it's supposed to, and they record their videos, and so that's what I do, and allows for me to get everything done at one sitting. So like right now, I'm batching my content for March, April, and May because I have 10 speaking gigs between those 2 months.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I have I've told my audience I'm going to show up at these times, so that's when I have to be there.
Right.
Quick question for you, shifting gears.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking. Let's talk about ROI.
'Kay.
Agents want to talk about ROI all the time.
They do.
During your process, do you monthly share with your clients an ROI of what they're getting and how you might feel measuring the ROI for your clients?
So we measure our ROI differently than not differently. This is how we measure ROI. We look at return on influence, not return on investment. So we're looking at how many people are seeing this content, how many people are clicking, and what is the mission and purpose of this content that we're creating. I think it's incredibly unrealistic for people to expect every single thing that they post on the internet to convert a sale. It's just unrealistic. And we're in an era of brand recognition and being in front of people. That way when they're ready, they know who to go to. Why do you think Coke spends millions and millions of dollars a year just having their advertisements with Coke all over the place? That way when you're thirsty, you're like, I want a Coke.
Well,
When I need insurance, when I'm struggling, when something's happened, my premiums have gone up, my rates have gone up, I've had something catastrophic happen. Those are the times people are usually going and learning about what they need for insurance. And if you had been there consistently in their face, providing value and being relatable, that's when the investment return happens.
I completely agree. And I think so. Like right now, where we're sitting, I'm not thinking about return on investment right now. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of that in the return on influence. Right. It's the point of that people are seeing us talking. People are hearing us through the halls talking about these things, and when they start seeing us in other places, they're going to remember. And I think that gives so much more value.
Expertise has so much more value than tracking every dollar. So, for example, how did I end up at the Germania Insurance Conference? I spoke in Boston at the Content Marketing Conference that about my video marketing blueprint, and I did an updated version of that presentation here. That was in April of 2019, and this happened in January of 2020. Laura, who's in charge of the event, she came here and she saw my presentation. She's like, "My insurance people need help with this. We're gonna do this now." I had to pay for everything to get to Boston. I paid for my flight. I paid for my hotel. I got my ticket for free. I had to pay for my food. I had to do all that. And so I flew from, at the time, Las Vegas, so that's where I lived, Las Vegas, and that was all on me. So that was that cost. So what's my return on investment of going to that? I was asked to speak at this conference where I was a paid speaker. She covered my flight. I got my hotel covered for the event. And I'm hoping to convert business while I am here. So because I had done something, because I had positioned myself as an expert before even going to the content marketing conference, where I had to establish myself, figure out what system it was that worked that I could replicate and then teach other people. You're talking years of trial and error and testing and experimenting and having clients to figure out a system to then pay to go to a conference where somebody else was making money from my information to convert this business. So me being here in this exact moment has been like 2 or 3 years in the making to convert business.
So what do you deliver to your customers on a monthly basis, quarterly basis? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
I report them with the report that they get that shows them like, this is what we've been.
Oh.
Sorry, my Google
Siri.
Assistant just activated. Anyway, what I deliver to my customers is a report that shows them like what it is that we've been doing and what isn't working. And then we use it as a team to be like, okay, this is what worked well. Let's lean into that more this next month. Because the other thing that happens all the time with social media is that what works one month does not always work the next month. So you have to keep paying attention to what is and isn't working and adjusting what your messaging is, your content is, your visuals are, what your videos are saying or not doing, and how present or not present you should be. It's just paying attention to a lot of that stuff, and that's what we lean into and provide for our customers.
Okay,
That's great.
On top of that, they're also, like I said, we're giving them a presence when they're not present.
An agent asks you, I'm going to hire you, and for every dollar I spend, what should I expect for a rate of return?
I don't work in those kinds of numbers.
Okay.
I'm like really transparent about it because there's no any way to do it. What I can do is build your brand awareness. What I can do is help drive traffic back to your website, and it's the website's job at that point to do their job. It's your job to sell them. It's your job to convert them with your messaging, your stuff. It's just my job to make sure to maintain that message and hopefully get them to the front door.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
And for what it's worth too, when it comes to social media across the board, you talk to any agent, there's no one that can ever say, I can guarantee this conversion for you. The only place I could ever see where that could happen would be in paid advertising. Like if I have a product and I'm going to invest $1,000 into paid ads for Google and for Facebook, I can then probably have the direct measurement so I know every click that I paid for. This is what is converting. If it's not converting, I have to figure out why.
Is it my messaging? Is it my call to action?
Is it my targeting? All that kind of stuff.
Is it my landing page?
Yeah.
What is
social media and advertising are two very separate things, and people don't really realize that.
Do
all the
you
time.
take up blogging with part of your social strategy?
Yes. So what I encourage people to do is everything starts with a video, right? So the first thing you want to do, I tell people, if you're new to video, what are your most commonly asked questions? Write them down, make a video for every Q&A. It's usually like 15 to 20. It's easy to talk about. You know what to say. It makes it more comfortable when you're in front of the camera when you're probably already uncomfortable in the first place. And it just allows you to ease into that really well. And then you can use it everywhere. You can put it on your FAQ page for your website. You can use this as part of a drip campaign for your email. It adds blog content to your website. Any website where you have a blog with a video and your competitor just has a blog, your video blog will always outperform your competitors just when they have a blog. Additionally, once you create a video, then you have a blog. You can create quote images. You can make promo images. You can make teaser videos. You can make Pinterest pins. You can use part of your email drip campaign. You do Instagram stories, Instagram TV. It's all like starts with one video. And then I said, put it in all the places where your people want to consume it. And that's like where that will be effective for you.
That's awesome. Well, we've run over time.
It's okay. I can talk about it. I'm sorry for rambling.
No, but we really appreciate it. So a couple of things. If we need to know a little bit more about you, we're going to have more information in the description. Okay, want to make sure that everyone likes and subscribes. Any more call to actions I need to give?
I would say, honestly, if you want to get started with anything to help with your video marketing, just go to YouTube and look for me, Desiree Martinez, or at Mrs. Desiree Rose. Best place to start.
Mrs. Desiree Rose. All right. Well, I think that is a marketing brain dump. Anyone?
Brain dump.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.